Going to be talking about resilience, embracing new beginnings, coping with change, fear and resistance. Fresh starts and do-overs. Someone faces a major life transition, like a new job or moving to a new city, and is unsure how to approach the new beginning. Why do fresh starts feel like jumping into the deep end of the pool without knowing if we can swim? New beginnings are opportunities in disguise, and how we approach them makes all the difference. You start a new job, for example, and feel overwhelmed, but instead of panicking, you ask, what if I see this as a chance to grow, to learn, rather than a hurdle to overcome? To think, what new beginnings are you facing, and how can you see it as a fresh canvas rather than a challenge?
Roxon on that pitch. Curveball drops the hammer. Called strike three.
When life throws curveballs. Someone's life plans are upended by unexpected changes, throwing everything off course. Why does life have such terrible aim when it throws us curveballs? It can hit you anyway. Change is often unexpected, but learning to roll with it can be a powerful tool for resilience and personal growth. How can you turn life's curveballs into something positive? I want to talk about resilience. So
Bouncing back, the sequel.
So this could be like a movie, taking on a movie theme. Think about this like someone is recovering from a difficult setback, like losing a job or going through a personal crisis. Why is resilience like a good movie sequel, where you come back stronger and with better special effects?
Bouncing back, the sequel.
Resilience is the ability to recover and grow from setbacks, much like bouncing back in a movie sequel, where the hero learns from the first round of challenges. After a setback, you take time to reflect and visualize yourself overcoming the obstacles, coming back stronger and more capable than before. Something for you to think about. How can you turn a recent setback into the first act of your comeback story?
Bouncing back, the sequel.
So let's talk also about fear and resistance. Titling this,
Don't fear the reaper, the rip of change.
this situation, like someone struggles with fear and resistance when facing a significant life change. Why does change sometimes feel like a creepy movie villain, lurking around every corner? You know, the ones that are kind of suspenseful, Netflix, and the way the camera's working, the way they're setting up. That's how we are just with change. Okay, in that case, we see it, you know, and we like to sort of be held in grip and suspense of anticipation. But we do it over small things, just a little trip, a little journey, or a change in behavior of a friend. That's what our lives are like. So the lesson in this, fear and resistance to change are natural, but they often exaggerate the danger of the unknown. And by reframing the narrative, we can embrace change more fully. A bit of like role reversal can help on this. Say you confront a big change, perhaps like moving to a new city or starting a new project. And instead of letting fear dictate your actions, imagine how you would advise someone else who's in your shoes. Say it's moving to a new city. With you, you're like caught in the terror of all the anxieties. But what if it was someone else and you were advising them? You say, stay calm, relax, embrace the change in it. Something good can come of this. You've done it plenty of times before. You can do it again. Why not? It could be great for you. You can meet new people. There's different, climate. There's different culture there. There's different opportunities there. It will give you a chance to let go of a lot of baggage. So this is reframing, and these are the kind of things you would say to someone else, but you wouldn't say to yourself. You see? So this is like doing a role reversal. So let me ask you to reflect and think like this. Ask yourself, what fear is holding you back? And how can you change the script to make it from like a horror, scary, terrifying movie to something less scary? To make it a rom-com, or to make it a documentary, or to make it fun, or to make it an enjoyable travelogue, instead of being a terrifying horror movie, a zombie, flesh-eating, scary, serial killer terror movie. You've got the power to do that. You're writing and directing the script of your own life. What fear is holding you back? How can you change the script and make it much less scary? I'll let that sink in. So I want to look now at embracing new beginnings. Embracing new beginnings. I want to title this section,
That awkward first step.
So the situation here, like imagine this. Someone is about to take the first step towards a big life change. Say maybe starting a new relationship, or starting a new job, or starting a new project or hobby. Why do new beginnings always feel like wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too big? The first step, the lesson here, the first step is often the hardest. First step is often the hardest. But once you get moving, things start to fall into place, even if they feel awkward at first. This is what it looks like. Like you start a new hobby, or you join a new community, and you feel completely out of place at first. Instead of retreating, you laugh at the awkwardness and ask yourself, what if this weirdness is just part of the process? So a question for you. What's an awkward first step that you've taken recently, and how can you embrace it as a part of the journey? What's an awkward first step that you've taken recently? How can you embrace it as part of the journey, that awkwardness? So I'd like to talk about coping with change. The title is Change is the New Black. Here's a situation for you. Someone is feeling out of control, and it's due to life's unpredictable changes, and is trying to find balance. Is change the latest trend, or has it always been on the menu of life, the highway of life, the buffet of life? Here's the lesson. Just like fashion trends, change is always happening. It's about learning to make the most of the season that you're in. What does it look like? So suppose you face a major life shift, and instead of resisting, you reframe it as a chance to adapt and experiment, like trying on new styles until something fits. So here's something for you to think about. How can you try on a new sort of style of thinking to cope with change? How can you try on a new style of thinking to cope with change? So now I'd like to look at this subject connected to that called resilience. Resilience. And let's call it the comeback kid. Here's the situation. Someone is going through a rough time, but is determined to find their way back to stability. How can you make a comeback when life knocks you down for the count? Here's the lesson. Resilience is about finding your inner strength and learning to bounce back no matter how hard life hits. So what does it look like? After facing a tough situation, you take time to visualize what your life could look like once you've overcome this challenge. You begin to see yourself as a hero of your own comeback story. The thing for you to think about in this would go something like this. What's your comeback story? And how can you start writing it today? What's your comeback story? How can you start writing it today? So now I'd like to move on to another subject, fear and resistance. It's related, yeah? Let's call this section
Fear, the uninvited guest.
So here's a situation. Someone struggles with fear. And they struggle also with self-doubt. Particularly they suffer with self-doubt when facing a new opportunity or a challenge. So why does fear always show up when you least expect it? It's like an uninvited guest at the worst possible moment. Here's a lesson in this. Fear and resistance are often the mind's way of protecting us, but they can also hold us back from stepping into something new. So what does it look like? You're about to take on a new challenge, but fear suddenly crashes the party. And instead of giving in, you imagine what would happen if you invited fear in and asked it what it's really protecting you from, or what it's trying to protect you from. Make friends with it instead of throwing it out. Here's the thing for you to think about. How can you turn fear into a useful guest instead of letting it crash your party? How can you turn fear into a useful guest instead of letting fear gate crash your party? This time I'd like to ask you to look into something with me. Embracing new beginnings and what stops us. So the title I want to call this is Begin Again and Again. Begin again. So here's the situation. Someone feels like they've failed at starting over too many times, that they give up starting over. So why do fresh starts feel like trying to climb a hill, or only to realize that actually you're on some kind of treadmill because the way you're looking at starting over? Here's the lesson in this. Embracing new beginnings often means failing a few times before you find your stride. And that's okay. What does it look like? Well, let's say you've tried to start a new habit or make a big life change multiple times, and it just keeps falling apart. Instead of giving up, you visualize the process and accept the setbacks as part of the journey. Here's something for you to think about. What's something that you've tried to start over and over and over again? And how can you be kinder to yourself in the process? What's something that you've tried over and over and over again? And how can you be kinder to yourself in the process?
From the UK to Thailand, Malaysia to the sea, back there Rakita, wandering free. He's walked many roads in lands far and wide, bringing peace to the hearts where suffering hides. Taught the Dharma with a steady.
Now let's look at coping with change. I'm going to call this section
Survival of the Chillest.
Here's the situation. Someone is trying to maintain a calm and balance in the face of chaotic change, massive changes. Why does it feel like the key to survival isn't just evolution, but learning to chill out? Coping with change doesn't mean resisting it. It's about learning to stay calm and adaptable no matter what life throws at you. You face a chaotic situation at home or at work, and you ask yourself, what if the key to survival is just learning to relax and adapt? So here's your takeaway. How can you practice staying calm and flexible in the midst of change? How can you practice staying calm and flexible in the face of change?
In the English sitting room, TV light, a lazy glow.